I'm going to rewrite the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In my version of the story, you have the Wicked Witch who is envious of Snow White and wants to control her because the Wicked Witch is a narcissist. She is a psychopath. So her strategy is not to give Snow White a poison apple that puts her to sleep. I think that's how the story goes. Sorry, I get my fairy tales mixed up, but what the Wicked Witch decides she will do is she will dress up like Snow White and she will befriend the Seven Dwarfs. And she will convince the Seven Dwarfs that Snow White is a narcissist. That she convinces the Wicked Witch dressed up like Snow White convinces the Seven Dwarfs that Snow White is really a witch. So you have this triangle going on here. You have the Wicked Witch, you've got her victim, Snow White, and you've got, say, one of the Seven Dwarfs. I can't name him, but I can think of one. I think it was, so it's not Snoopy, right? That's the dog. So let's make this one Sleepy, because that's the only one I can think of. So the Wicked Witch befriends Sleepy and convinces Sleepy that she, the Wicked Witch, is the real Snow White, and Snow White is the Wicked Witch. That's triangulation. That's what happens. Now, the problem is that Sleepy, I want to call him Snoopy, the Sleepy and the other dwarfs are all taken in by the Wicked Witch. They think the Wicked Witch really is this wonderful Snow White person. Have you ever had someone in your life who did that to you? That there is someone who befriended your friends and they put on the Snow White outfit or whatever, and they convinced your friends that they were this wonderful person and that you were the bad guy. If you have had that experience, and I'm having that experience now, I've had it many times throughout my life, pushing 70 years old, I've had a lot of experience with people. Still learning, don't think I'll ever have it down pat, but if you are going through that experience, that is triangulation, and it's very frustrating because the seven dwarfs in your life, that is to say your social circle, your friends, your family, people that you know, they're believing the Wicked Witch. They're believing that you, the real Snow White, are the Wicked Witch. They got everything backwards. They got it all turned around. And you know how absolutely positively frustrating that will be. And when you go and try to communicate your circumstances, that, no, this is the Wicked Witch, not me, they don't believe you because the narcissist, the Wicked Witch dressed up like Snow White, is so charismatic, seems so real. They're masters at doing this. They've had a long time to practice, and some of them, they're just innately like this. So we're talking about triangulation, and here are 6 things that we need to keep in mind when you're dealing with a narcissist in this phase of their abuse. And number 1 is we already alluded to, and that is that the narcissist will team up with another person. In this case, it's Sleepy, or team up with several other people. Well, that person may be a good friend of yours, maybe a family member, could be a spouse, a wife, a husband, could be somebody you work with, somebody at the workplace that they want to team up with, but they team up with somebody else, and now they form this triangulation. It is the Wicked Witch, the narcissist, the psychopath, and they teamed up with somebody who is close to you, who has access to you, and you are now the third person in the triangle. Actually, the person they team up with is the third person, but depends on where you start counting, right? Number 2 is this. The third person may not know that they are even involved in a triangle. That's often the case. Now, I know when I have dealt with narcissists in the past, psychopaths, and I didn't know it. I thought they were my good friends, and they used me as the triangle, as the third person in the triangle, and they were convincing me that this other person was a bad person. Well, I kind of took it with a grain of salt. I figured, this person can't be as bad as they say the narcissist says they are, but still, I was in the triangle. I was part of it, so I kind of get it from the flying monkey's perspective. Flying monkey is a term for people that the narcissist uses against other people. You know, the third person in the triangle. So that person, you know, the real Snow White, is the victim, and Sleepy, the dwarf, may not know that he is being used. So the person who is being used against you may not even be aware of it. And when you go and try to talk to the person, try to make them aware of what's going on, they find it very difficult to believe because they know, or they think they know, the Wicked Witch is not a Wicked Witch. They know that the Wicked Witch is really Snow White. I mean, they got it totally backwards. How do you convince these people? Well, my experience is a lot of times you just cannot until they find out for themselves. And I've been in this situation. You know, I have been the third person in the triangle, and I did not believe the victims. When they told me that they were being abused, I thought, nah, you're blowing this way out of proportion. This person may have a screw loose. They may not have a, how do they phrase that? They don't have a safety net, or they don't have a filter, or however you want to say it. But they're not really bad people. But not until that Wicked Witch turned on me okay, now I got your point of reference. Let me use an illustration here that came to mind. I don't know where this came from, but I was doing some work on my car this morning, and I was thinking about what am I going to talk about when I do the video. Actually, I was trying to get a dash cam installed, and I thought, how do we sympathize with the pain that other people are going through if we don't have a point of reference? And the example came to mind of somebody who goes through childbirth without any pain reliever of any kind. I can't remember what they call that. But no anesthesia. They just go through the pain of childbirth. And a man, or a woman who's never given birth to a child, may say, yeah, I understand you have pain, but I've had pain too. You know, I hit my thumb with a hammer one time. And I mean, how bad can this be? I mean, women have been having children. This is the third party talking and thinking out loud here. But you know, women have been having children for, you know, countless thousands of years, and millions and millions and millions of women have gone through this, and they survived. Well, not all of them, but most of them survived. So, I mean, can it really be that big of a deal? And the woman who's gone through childbirth is frustrated because you have no idea the pain she went through. And you never will until you have a kidney stone. And then suddenly you understand what pain really is. Now you got a point of reference. So now you understand. So what we're saying is that third person in the triangulation, the third person that the narcissist brings in and is trying to convince you that this other person, the victim, is the true narcissist, they don't understand it. And if you, being the person who is the victim of the narcissist, try to explain it to that third person doesn't have a point of reference. You know, they've never had a baby. They've never had a kidney stone. They have no idea what pain really is. So they can think, all they can do is think of the most painful thing they ever experienced in their life, which was hitting their thumb with a hammer. Maybe closing their hand in a car door or something like that. So, you know, how bad can it be? You don't understand until you experience the pain yourself. So what they are doing, number 3, is they are just pitting two people against each other. And that is the way that the narcissist gets to you. And why does the narcissist want to get to you? Because they're all about control. They're all about dominating. They want to dominate you one way or the other. If they can't do it firsthand, if they can't tie a string to you and pull it, then what they will do is they'll attach a string to a third person who can pull your string. So it's like they've got a puppet who is pulling your string. So we have two puppets, one in a row, 3 people. And if you can't convince this other person who you are attached to, maybe because it's a good friend or spouse or you know, family member, and this person in the middle, this third person in the triangle, won't cut loose from the narcissist, from the psychopath, what do? You know, you're kind of stuck. So it is a game, number 4, to get you to respond somehow, some way, to get a rise out of you. And if you don't respond, what the narcissist will do is they just keep pulling the string. They're in control because they know it's aggravating. It's kind of like somebody punching you in the nose because they want you to fight them. So they're going to keep punching you in the nose until you fight. So what are you going to do? Well, you can keep getting punched in the nose or you can fight. Either way, you're getting what the bully wants you to do. You really don't have a whole lot of option other than run away, and that's sometimes not even an option. But that is the other option, which raises the question number 5. This third person, is this person worth keeping? That is a tough question, and only you can answer that question. Now, if it's a spouse, it could be that you just have to put up with it. You know, you can't get away from your spouse. Or you're, maybe it's another family member, a sibling. You can't stop the sibling from being a sibling. And the spouse or sibling, or maybe it's a guy you work with, good friend, they won't break free of a narcissist because they think the narcissist is Snow White. But you can't break free from your spouse or from your brother, sister, from your good friend at the workplace because you work together. You can't break free from them. So you're kind of in a position where you're just kind of stuck. Or you could break contact, total absolute contact, with that middle person, with a third person. That, again, is really tough to do because if it's a person at work, you got to quit your job, you know? And if it's a brother or sister, you have to go no contact with someone who is really close to you, somebody you love. And if it's a spouse, that is almost impossible unless you're willing to go to divorce court, which is not something that I recommend. But what else are you going to do? So you have to make the decision. This is me talking to me. You have to make a decision. Is this third person who refuses to break the ties with Snow White, who is really the Wicked Witch, the narcissist, the psychopath, is this person worth keeping? And if they are, how do you break that bond between that person and the psychopath, you know, the Wicked Witch pretending to be Snow White? Because they're convinced it is Snow White. That is, you know, I wish I could say, okay, here's a simple thing that you can do, but there is no simple thing. At least if there is, I can't think of it. We have a comment section. If you can think of it, put it in the comment section. And that will help all of us. Number 6 is we need to remember that a narcissist, psychopath narcissist, talking about a covert narcissist, will destroy your entire social network. So we're talking about triangulation. The narcissist teams up with somebody you know, and together they abuse you. And the person in the middle, the third person, may not even know what they're doing. They may think you are overreacting. Now, that not only happens with one person, but the narcissist will go to every single person that he or she knows that you know and develop a triangulation. So it's not just one triangle, it's a lot of them. How many triangles are there? Well, how many people do you know? That's how many triangles that the narcissist knows you know. That's how many triangles the narcissist will try to form. Now, fortunately, there are some very smart people out there who are very savvy when it comes to reading people's nature, who won't believe the narcissist in the first place. I mean, the Wicked Witch comes dressed up like Snow White, and they pick it up immediately. And I've had people do that. When a narcissist went behind my back and tried to form a triangulation, these people would come to me and say, hey, you know what this guy's doing? And they knew. They knew this was the Wicked Witch. They knew this was the fake Snow White, not the real one. They understood that from the very get-go, but a lot of people don't get that. And so we're contending not with one triangle, but with a lot of them. So that is something we have to keep in mind. The best solution that I can think of is preventative. And that is to have a frame of mind to be aware of what you're getting into at the very onset of a relationship. Now, some of the friendships, relationships that I've gotten into over the years didn't even occur to me that this person could be a narcissist. I didn't even know what a narcissist was, you know? Well, I do now. 2 rectangles on the screen. Let's keep on talking if you want. All you got to do is click one of those 2 rectangles and the conversation will continue. If not, well, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you all next time.